Welcome at Pizza and More. You think it's necessary that a pizza dough raises very long? This is absolutely correct. Normally a pizza dough has to raise between 24, 48 or 72 hours because during this long fermentation period the dough starts digesting, so afterwards it's much more digestible, and during the fermentation lots of nice taste is built inside of the dough. My name is Jürgen and I show you now how we prepare a 48 hours pizza dough, and at the end we prepare our pizza. For our dough we need only 4 ingredients. At first we need flour. I have here 500 grams of flour type 00 with a W value of 340 and with a protein value of 14%. It's strongly recommended to use a flour with that high protein value and with that high W value. We need a high W value because of the long fermentation time. Otherwise the dough would be maybe a bit weak after the long fermentation time if we wouldn't have a strong flour. The next we have here is really cold water. It is 340 grams, which is in the end a hydration of 68%. If you don't, or if you are afraid to use 68% hydration, then simply use only 65 or even how much you want. The next is here 15 grams of fine sea salt, and I have here 1.5 grams of fresh yeast. If you want to use dry yeast, then please use 0.4 grams. As we need today our dough in the mixer, I have here a video, and I linked it here, where I show how to knead the dough by hand. Maybe you have no mixer and you have, or you want to do it by hand, absolutely no problem. In this video I show it how to do. We bake today our pizza as well, or not today, but we bake this time our pizza in the pizza oven. If you have a normal home oven only and you want to bake your pizza in the normal home oven, in the same video I explain very detailed how it works in a home oven. If you bake it in a home oven, we need 2 ingredients more, 5 grams of olive oil and 5 grams of honey. Adding the ingredients into the mixer needs also to be in the right sequence. The first we add is our cold water, and the next is the flour, and the third we add is the yeast. If we have everything now without our salt, we keep the salt out in our mixer, we start mixing on a low speed. We mix now for around 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes we add our salt. As soon most of the ingredients are mixed up, we are able to add our salt. The reason for adding the salt later is if we bring yeast and salt in direct contact to each other, the salt would blockade the activity of the yeast, and then afterwards we wouldn't have that nice fluffy airy crust. The kneading time in total will take around 20 minutes. We have to knead until the dough, or we are able to make this window test with our dough, and we have to control the temperature of the dough because the temperature should not go over 25 or 27 degrees, otherwise the possibility to damage the gluten structure would be very high. While kneading the dough you really have to be patient. This dough here right now might look like as it would be ready, but it's definitely not ready. You see how it sticks to the bottom of the bowl of the mixer, so it minimum takes 5 to 10 minutes more until it's finished. Now you can see the dough is completely released from the bowl, which means I think the dough is almost ready. To really be clear if the dough is ready kneaded or not, I make a window test. For the window test we take out a small piece of dough, we roll it in our hands to a ball, and then we try to stretch it between our fingers. If the dough is sticking to your hands, you can use either flour or you can use olive oil, or as in my case, simply make your fingers wet with water, and then it works and the dough is not sticking to your fingers. But you can see the window test is working perfectly. You are able to stretch the dough. Very great. Now it's time to take it out of the mixer onto your counter. If you have your dough now in front of you on the counter, then we have to shape a nice ball. Therefore, we get from the left and from the right, and we lift the dough, put it back, and stretch it and fold it. This is the so-called stretch and fold. We stretch it and we fold it over. And we do this several times, and here you see already how strong the surface here is, and it's not sticking anymore. This dough is now zero sticky, and this with a hydration of 68%. To make the nice dough ball, it's required to turn the dough and then go with the little fingers under and pull it. And then turn it again and pull it. The top of the dough stays always on top, and we are not rolling the dough, we are only pulling the dough. And here now you can see the dough is not sticky anymore. Good. If we have this nice dough ball, we place it into a bowl or into a box or wherever, whichever you have, and then on this box we close the lid. Our dough is now in the box, the lid is closed. This is necessary to close the lid, otherwise there would be the problem that our dough gets dry, and this we want to avoid. Now we let the dough raise for 1 or 2 hours at room temperature, and after this time we place the dough in the fridge. In the fridge we let it raise for around 22 hours. If you have in 22 hours or now in 24 hours no time to create the dough balls, this is absolutely no issue. So these times are not set in stone, which means if you let it in the fridge for 30 hours, if you let it in the fridge for only 20 hours, this is no problem. You can do it however it fits into your time scale. But roughly we let the dough raise now for 24 hours. My dough had now a leavening time from in total 26 hours. I put it already onto my counter, and now it's time to create our 3 dough balls. Well, I create dough balls with a weight of around 290 grams. And this is for pizza with a diameter of 33 centimeters. If you want to bake pizza which is a bit smaller, then you have to use lighter pizza balls, so then only use 250 grams or so. But I make pizza balls with 290 grams because this is then for 33 centimeters pizza. And here is the dough. I take now a piece of dough. As I said, the aim is 290 grams. Here we have now our 3 pizza balls with 290 grams, and we have, or I show you now, 3 different possibilities how to shape the pizza balls. The first one is you take the pizza dough into your hands, and then you always stretch it here a bit, and then you put everything under. And you stretch it here, and the rest is pushed under. I hope you can see this. and then you get here a very strong surface. If you have here air bubbles already, it doesn't matter, you can damage them, and that's really no problem. This shows only that the dough already started his fermentation. You can also use these two fingers, place the dough between your fingers, and then always try to push all the rest of the dough between your fingers upwards, and then you create this dough ball. At the end, you close your fingers so that the bottom of the dough ball is closed as well, and then it goes back into the box. If the dough is sticking to your fingers, this shouldn't be a big problem. Then you can use some olive oil, and then the dough stops sticking. The next version how to create a dough ball is that you place it on the counter, and then here you stretch everything and fold it back to the center, and so you go around the circle. This is almost the same, but you see we press here as well to the center like we did in the hand. And if you are around the circle, then we turn the dough ball to the other side, and then we start turning it, and we don't roll it, we pull it to us, and we use the little fingers, put the little fingers under, and then we pull the dough to us. This is the same procedure like we did with the big dough ball. And also here you can see all the air bubbles already. And this is necessary that you have here a strong surface, otherwise there would be the danger that the dough ball gets to all sides and is very flat afterwards. Well, however, this could happen in any case, but normally not that heavily if you create a nice dough ball. If you have it created like this, and then we turn it around, and at the bottom we are able to close it again, if not already closed, or only press it together, and then place it back into the box. And the last possibility how to shape the dough ball, what I want to show you today, is also that stretch and fold, what we did with the big one. We lift the dough, we put it onto the counter, we stretch it here, and then we fold it over. And then we take it again, and here we have again big air bubbles already, we open them. And here also you can see how the strong surface on top is created. You can do this several times, and then we turn it again, we open the air bubbles, we turn the dough ball, and then we pull it, we turn it, we pull it, turn it. And also here we check, is the bottom nice closed? If not, then we press the bottom and we close the dough ball. And if the dough ball is closed at the bottom as well, then we place it in the box. And now, as we have all the three dough balls created, we take again our lid, we close the box because we want to avoid that the dough gets dry, and we move the dough directly back into the fridge. Round about 5 hours before baking time, we take the dough out of the fridge and we let it rise at room temperature, as said, for around 5 hours. If it has, actually it has 22 degrees roundabout. If it is warmer and if it has 25 degrees, for example, then maybe 2 to 3 hours are also enough. So this is always a bit a play between the temperature and then the time. It's important then 1 hour before we start baking, please preheat your oven. If you are using mozzarella, which is in that salty liquid, then please remove the mozzarella out of this salty liquid. Cut your mozzarella into sticks like French fries and put them into a sieve. Cover it and place it in the fridge. So as you know, in the mozzarella there is lots of liquid, lots of water, and this water and this liquid we won't have on our pizza, otherwise the pizza gets soggy. Therefore cut it, put it into a sieve and let it drain for between, so I would say minimum 6 hours, maximum 24 hours, and then we can guarantee the cheese is a bit dry and not that soggy on our pizza. My dough had now a leavening time from around 50 hours. I'm absolutely happy how my pizza balls look like. I will show you this a bit later. All my toppings are also prepared. I have here the tomato sauce. This is a can of San Marzano tomatoes. I teared them by hand, so I avoided to destroy the seed inside of the tomatoes, otherwise it could get a bit bitter. The only what I added to the tomato sauce is 5 grams of sea salt. I mixed it up and that's done. Sure, it's possible to add some olive oil, to add some basil, but the basil and olive oil will be added onto my pizza a bit later. The next thing I have here is fior di latte. I prefer fior di latte. If you want to have some other cheese, absolutely no problem. Take the cheese you like. The same for the tomatoes. If you don't like San Marzano tomatoes, you can choose whatever tomatoes you want. Then I have here some salsiccia. I put the salsiccia out of the peel. I teared them as well into small pieces. Sure, it's possible to fry them in the pan and put them then already fried onto the pizza, but the temperature in the pizza oven is that high that it's absolutely enough for the salsiccia. I also have prepared here some pepperoni, and that's all. And now it's time for the pizza. We have here our semolina bed. I use always a bowl where I have, or a box where I have the semolina in. You also could put the semolina onto the counter, but I think it's a bit more useful to have it in a box. Then we open our box where we have our pizza balls, and you can see how my pizza balls look like. I'm really happy about it. And now it's necessary to take them out of the box very carefully and very gentle, otherwise we are not able to stretch the dough balls. For this we take not too less semolina, and we put the semolina everywhere where one dough ball is attached to another, or where the dough ball is attached to the side of the box. Then we take our spatula and we release very gently the dough ball. If we are too brutal to the pizza dough or to the ball, we would have the danger that the dough gets stressed and we have no chance to stretch it to a nice pizza, and that's the reason why we are very, very careful to our dough. Then we lift it out. You can see how full of air it is and how it lifts already, and then we put it into our semolina bed. Of course the box needs to be big enough, otherwise the dough ball has no space. Then we close again the box, otherwise our remaining dough balls would get dry. Then we flip our dough ball several times around, but please be very gentle here and don't press the dough, otherwise there is the possibility that it gets stressed again. Then, if the shape is not nice and round, we prepare a nice and round shape. If you see already very big air bubbles, you can open them. And then we start shaping our pizza. Here, therefore, you cover your fingertips with semolina and then you start pressing from the center towards the crust. Which means we press all the air which is inside of our dough towards the crust. if we done the first half, we flip it around and we do exactly the same from the other side as well. We let round about 1.5 centimeters or 2 centimeters of crust over. We don't press at this piece of dough at the crust because we want to have this air in our crust. As I said, if we see here big bubbles, we open them because otherwise the big bubbles would burn in the oven. If we have almost a nice shape and you see, oh, the dough is sticking somewhere, put some semolina to your counter and then it stops sticking immediately. Because this is very, very dangerous. If the dough sticks, then you could have the problem that you are not able afterwards to launch the dough properly into your oven. Then we put it over our hands and then we stretch the dough. Not to its final size, because the final size is later on done when the dough is on our peel. So the first we add now is tomato sauce. Here you can add as much as you want, but as soon as the tomato sauce is on your base, we have to be very quick because the tomato sauce would maybe weak up our dough, and then we have the possibility that it breaks. After the tomato sauce, we add some fresh grated grana padano or Parmesan cheese. And then some fresh basil. You can add the basil also afterwards, it doesn't matter. As next, the fior di latte. Don't add too much cheese, otherwise we taste only cheese on our pizza instead of all the other nice ingredients. And then it's already time for the salsiccia. The same is for the salsiccia, don't add too much. So that's enough. As next, a bit of pepperoni or pepperoncini. They are not that hot because the salsiccia is already hot, so that's the reason why I decided not to have that hot pepperoni. And the last thing we add on our pizza is some nice olive oil. And it's already time to put the pizza onto our pizza peel. Therefore we add some semolina onto the pizza peel. We lift here the crust and then in one shot we bring the pizza, the peel under. Now we stretch the pizza to its final size. As I said already, the final size is done as soon as the pizza is on the peel. If you see now that there are some empty spaces due to the stretching, then we can add here some additional cheese, because it's not that nice if there is too much free, and if necessary and wanted, some additional salsiccia. Fantastic. And now it's time to put the pizza outside to the terrace into the oven. Now we are outside, which means it could be a bit noisy, and you see it's important with one shot to release the pizza or to launch the pizza. I lowered the flame to the minimum because, as you see, I have here a biscotto, and the biscotto is a bit thicker than the original stone, which means the pizza is higher and there is the temperature also higher. That's the reason why I lowered the flame to the minimum. It's important to turn the pizza inside of the oven, because you see here in the front there is no burner, there's the temperature a bit lower, so we have always to turn the pizza. For turning, it's the easiest to use such a turning peel. It would be also possible with the normal pizza peel, but for me I think it's easier with the turning peel. Back in the kitchen, and here is the pizza, and you see it's perfectly cooked, and these are these bigger air bubbles which get easily burned if you are not carefully. Let's have a look at the bottom, and you see as well the bottom is also fantastically cooked. The crust is full of air. Outside of the crust it's crunchy, and I'm pretty sure inside it's very soft. Let me cut the pizza, because I want to taste it. I can't wait for it. And you see how nice and airy and soft it inside is. So let's cut out a whole piece. So let me taste something from the center. It's possible to taste each of the ingredients separately, which is exactly what we want. There is the possibility to taste the cheese, the tomato, the salsiccia, the pepperoni. Fantastic. Now a bit of the crust. Guys, this pizza tastes really absolutely fantastic. Maybe you heard earlier in the background the dog barking. This is the barking dog. She is always running between my feet because she's looking if some salami, some ham or some mozzarella cheese falls to the bottom, and this is exactly what she wants. I can guarantee you get no piece of pizza. The pizza is for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I can really recommend to make this pizza as well. If you have only 8 hours time, for example, then is here a video where I showed how it's possible to make also a nice Neapolitan pizza in only 8 hours. And if you liked my video, it would be fantastic if you would subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching. Enjoy. See you soon. Ciao.